I lost that post again. Okay, grab that. I'll ask about that later. Okay, grab that link, post it here. Oh man. It's so fascinating, the stuff that people end up getting in prisons. Like, how did they get an air fryer?
You know, this is probably a dumb question, but now that you say that, I'm wondering, do they have like electrical outlets in prison cells? I would assume no, right?
Let me show you. Let me show you what I'm looking at, because there's just absolutely yes.
All right, yeah, I need to see this setup.
They got a fryer later too. Okay,
Nah, hell nah, ain't no way.
while we're looking at nonsense, Ace, how does the audio sound?
It's a griddle?
Oh, check, check, check. How do I sound? Do I sound okay? Too loud, too quiet, too echoey, or
Uh,
no?
it's a bit louder than usual, but it's acceptable.
That
Maybe
is
just
so weird.
maybe just step away from the mic, sir, for a bit.
It's farther away than it's ever been.
What about you, Ghost? How's the audio?
Test, 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 test. Bro, what is this? It's a whole
It's
fucking
dope. You got a McDonald's
whole
in
done
this.
setup. What the hell?
And then what about my audio? How do I sound? Is it clear enough? And is the volume at acceptable level?
Yeah.
Okay. That being the case,
Remind me of what did we just watch, Quest? Goodfellas.
Louder.
Oh yeah, Goodfellas.
Yeah, they had the whole meal in the
Yeah,
prison, the
the
spaghetti.
wine.
oh
Yep.
yeah, the wine, yeah, yeah. But those guys were like Italian mobsters.
No.
Okay. Um. All right. So when you get a check the stream, Ace. Make sure that's looking all right.
Oh.
And then I guess drop the starting soon, and let's get into it. Everybody look alive, just like Black Boy said. Okay, and then check out. What the? Where did you go, Ace? You got switched around again.
Have we ever talked about that Nicaraguan prison?
There he is. Excuse me? No, I don't. Don't believe we just bumped into the geopolitical prison systems.
The one with like all the gang members, where the president like incarcerated literally every single gang member and locked them in maximum.
Are you working on some? Are you working on a college paper, or what are we talking about here?
I'm surprised because this is like all over social media. But
how'd that go for them?
For the country, fine. For the prisoners, pretty fucking dreadful. It looks like pretty much the worst possible living conditions you could ever hope to imagine living in, but apparently it's like drastically knocked down the crime rate.
Yeah, that's
exponentially.
That's interesting. That's very interesting.
That is something that I don't know if it's a topic, but if y'all come across that, I'm curious on your thoughts. Because again, it's like maximum security, no hope of any of them ever getting out, ever.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah.
You can send a link and we can put it on the list.
Whatever happened to the Google Doc? I haven't updated, I think, in years.
Jesus.
Quest is posting on it every week. That's what we get the thing from.
Never had. I don't know how much. I guess a Word doc never gets that expansive, but it's just continues to grow. Anyway, starting record in 3, 2.
It's posting on it every week. That's what I get.
Okay. We are recording. We are live. I can hear
I think it was El Salvador, not Nicaragua.
That was the craziest part. I was we're recording. I heard when you're talking about this Mac. I didn't know if you're talking about something from the past or something recent. Yeah, from the past. They're in El Salvador.
Oh wait, see, I'm not. You acted like I was crazy for even bringing that up.
Well, you said the wrong thing, so yes,
I did say the wrong thing, but I mean, you know, I'm gonna get countries wrong.
Countries, history.
Okay, history. I'm not like that. I'm not that bad. Come on now. Countries,
it's fine.
Yeah, I'll get it.
It's fine. I know. I like when people like know their lanes. If it's more like math based, science based, or civil engineering based, I know all day and night. I'm not going back and forth with you about some civil engineering. If I'm not doing that. But anyway, even though we've been chopping up, welcome back, guys. Welcome back, everyone, to the Be Warmed and Be Filled podcast. We're back. We have not everyone, but we have most of the family, the crew, the bros. We have Ace.
What's up?
We have Ghost.
Yo.
Who's a literal ghost tonight, but he's still here with us. And you have myself, QuestLando. Guys, how we all doing? How we all feeling?
Pretty good.
Could be worse.
The classic. And I'm doing pretty well myself. Time recording is kind of bit colder than usual, but we are in the early mist of April, so spring is on the horizon. Even though I guess actually it's pretty typical for there to be rain, but anyway, it's definitely has a new season vibe to it. But that just might be me and where I'm at. Anyway, before we actually get into everything, let's get the podcast intro stuff out the way. I don't know if this works. I wonder might go back and watch this stream, but like the video. And I'm I obviously do that, but I'm saying that because I think the video might pick up on that. Anyway, so yeah, that's one. Two, and more importantly, not only do we provide great podcasting, but if you're ever in the mood or interested in checking out or finding music, we provide that too. Definitely check out the Spotify link in the description below, and you'll be able to find a link to our song selections of the week, working title. Yeah, if you want to check out some new artists, some new vibes, some new genres, definitely check out that link below. And after the podcast, after we edit it, you can check back for timestamps if you don't want to, sit here and listen to the whole thing. Why would you? We provide timestamps so you can just check out the specific topics in the videos. Look around. And if you're just interested in checking out shorter form content, we provide that as well. I implore everyone to go to our channel and go to the videos tab, and there you'll be able to find all of our topic videos. Just those, quote unquote brief instances of us talking about all these respective topics. So yeah. We also typically we don't have any content recommendations actually this week, or no reviews. I got a couple shows
one.
Oh, go ahead. I was about to say, I got a couple shows I'm watching, but I don't think I'm finished with any of them yet. So, go ahead.
This is more so a follow-up to one show that I brought up previously, but Common Side Effects season 1 just finished, and it was pretty much perfect as far as like what I'm looking for out of a first season of a TV show. It did everything and more. Like it couldn't have been better. It was top tier. Ended in a pretty good spot. Season 2 is confirmed, so I'm hyped for that. But yeah, I already gave the lowdown before, but go watch it. It's great.
Yeah, I saw some folks talking about that. It definitely seems like it caught some people's attention. Fair enough. All right, fair enough. Quick, we get to everything. Quick, we can get right to the topics. And as always, there's so much going on in the world right now. 2025 is shaping up to be quite a year. A year where you gotta damn near keep a pulse on all facets of the world, the economy.
Say the word tariffs and
yeah,
send people into a spiral.
Exactly. Sports, ongoing conflicts. Man, there's a lot going on. But, we kind of like to come here and talk about some of the, stories and topics that might have gone under the radar. Like this first topic. Let me just fix this a bit. We'll get right into it. Hopefully the names are in the right space. No, they're not. Let's see if I can move that real quick. So yeah, this is. Oh, let me actually fix that first. Okay, so this is really not. Sorry, let me give a decent intro. So this is, really a nothing story. I'm not sure much people saw this, and it kind of seems kind of like fake. But when y'all can watch it for yourselves and decipher how authentic it was. So we all enjoy a good concert here, right? We all like concerts. We all like going to shows. I don't
Certainly.
know if anyone here is really checking for what an Omarion show is like. I don't know if he's on. Whenever I hear about Omarion and Bow Wow, they're all talking about a Millennium Tour, but I don't know if any of those guys even like each other in this day and age. I don't know what's going on, but we all know Omarion. Omarion got hits for days, and I would think people, especially women, would love his shows. But putting this video, when you see the video, you might think otherwise, and you could already tell by the caption by the person that posted this. Um, they said, not the caption of the tweet, but the caption of like the TikTok or whatever. They said VA made man's lose his zen for a second because y'all wouldn't, or sorry, y'all, why y'all sitting down? The fuck. So if you don't know, outside of records and outside of shows, Omarion is known for a very zenful, peaceful guys. Even though there's a lot of drama going on in the R&B scene, he's always cool, calm, and collected. But I think this might have been an instance where he kind of stepped out of that. Let's watch it real quick and see what y'all make of this.
All y'all get your asses up. What the fuck? Get up. Get up. Get up. It's a concert. Get up. The fuck up. Young shit come close to me.
So it was probably a little choppy. Play it again just for the folks in the back. Just in case you missed his sentiment.
All y'all get your asses up. What the fuck? Get up. Get up. Get up. It's a concert. Get up. The fuck up. Young shit come close to me.
So yeah, like we said, who amongst us, we all like a great show here. And when I saw this, I was definitely interested to know what y'all think because, on the one hand, it is an artist's duty when they're up on stage to provide a show that's engaging. They're playing their bangers, their new music, really getting the crowd excited off their feet, hands in the air, dancing, moving, grooving, all that jazz. But on the other hand, when people pay their money and, go to your show, sometimes people feel as they can, enjoy or consume the show however they want. And I kind of reminded of, I don't know if you recall, we had a topic, I believe it was Fantasia. They were doing a show and they had a gripe with people recording. I believe that was the case. They were like, hey, we know you love to be on your phones, but put down the phones and just enjoy the show. So that's kind of remind me of. This is an instance where Omarion kind of more peeved at the fact that people are sitting down. So yeah, nothing too, nothing to get hell bent on, but I'm definitely curious to know. You guys have been to more shows than myself. What's the general, what's y'all general reaction if you're at a show and the artist that you're listening to that's performing hits you with Omarion just hit this audience with? What are you doing? What are you thinking, Ace?
I'm good with it. I'm pretty much 100% fine with this. His sentiment is kind of something that runs through my mind, and as some of the shows I've been to, it's like, why is the crowd not into this? Like, this hype as hell, and nobody's really showing it. So I completely understand the sentiment, and it's kind of something I've thought about too. Like, why don't more artists, or what would it feel like to be an artist playing to a crowd where, like, especially if you got the standing room in the front, and everybody just staring up at you and not really like even nodding their heads, sometimes just staring at you. It's like, what would that be like? It seems like it would be awkward. So to see an artist actually, I mean, say something like this in an extreme way, it kind of validates that, yeah, that probably would be awkward, and probably most artists want to say something like this, but refrained because at the same time they don't want their audience to they don't want any
look at them like they're crazy. There be any backlash. But what you're saying isn't that incumbent on the artist to get that reception? Like,
I don't think so.
I do see what you're saying. Like, it makes sense to have some level of empathy for the artists, and they're doing their hardest to generate a show that people will enjoy and move based off of. But if the artist ain't feeling that, you're gonna turn into a teacher and be like, stand up.
I see what you're saying in a way, but I feel like if it's every show, well, I mean, it could always be the artist. It could always be the artist's fault that they're not getting the reception that they expect. But at the same time, if you're especially if you're the headliner, like if it's an opener, I kind of get it more so. But if you're the headliner, people are specifically like, you can pretty much expect that at least 90% of the audience is coming to see the headliner. So unless the artist is bad, like they're doing a bad job, that excuse kind of goes out the window that they're doing so bad that the audience can't get into it. Like if you're at a concert and there's music, you can always bob your head at least, and especially if you're like right in front of the stage, which it looks like he was pointing to the people directly in front of him. I can understand too, you got balconies and stuff where there is literally sitting room and things like that, but the people right in front of the stage, like you should be the most engaged, I think. Or that should be an expectation if you're going to be in that part of the crowd.
So you're telling me if you go to a show and it must be an artist that you like, but for whatever reason the show kind of, it ain't all that. Whether it's like the performance just saying it, the production seems a bit off. For whatever reason, you're just not feeling it, and you're not really in that vibe. And then all of a sudden they tell you, "Hey, get the hell up! Like move! Like you're just getting up, no questions asked about it."
That would not happen to me.
Like that's just what Omarion did.
Nah, because I'm fairly sure that Omarion was justified in what he did here. Like I highly doubt it was a situation where the sound was off or the vibe was off. I mean, maybe his vibe could have been off if he would if he was like taking any type of baggage he had throughout the day, and you could kind of tell it was there in the performance. But I feel more so just based on how many shows that I've been to and seen, like that the audience doesn't seem to engage as much as you would expect. That's more so the issue. It's just like a general thing where I feel like crowds, maybe it's a nowadays thing. I mean, I haven't been going to concerts forever, but it's just very surprising to me how little people tend to engage with the artists and the music, like the crowd, especially in the vicinity of the stage. Like it just it's kind of baffling to me.
Before I go, were you trying to say something, Ghost?
I'll get to my take on this, but I'm just imagining me and you went to that open mic. Just imagine
God.
one of the trash ass artists that we were listening to tell it, yo. I would have actually started booing.
You know me, I'm pro boo. If I'm not feeling your show, I'll definitely boo.
Yeah. Like I said, openers, I can understand it more so.
I definitely see what you're saying. It's just at the same time, and to be clear, obviously I didn't see much of this performance outside of this clip, and I wasn't there, so I'm just kind of making up a hypothetical of like, the performance is bad, and that's why people aren't rocking with it. Obviously, there's other litany of reasons. Sometimes artists be performing in arenas or places where that crowd doesn't necessarily fit them. Like they could just not be the biggest Omarion stands or fans rather. And it is interesting. I want to delve into that one day. It doesn't have to be specifically based off this, but I have seen what you're talking about, and doesn't it almost seem like some people go to a concert not necessarily for that artist, just because it's maybe something, I don't even know. Would people go to a concert just for something to do because there's live music and other people around? I guess that's why people go to like clubs and
that
stuff.
That seems kind of weird to me. I would be surprised if people
definitely do it. I think.
Really?
Yeah, I can understand 100%. That for like free stuff. Like obviously we go to
right. You got to pay for it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't know what the price of an Omarion concert is going for, but like some of the venues I've been at when it's like 25, $30, take it, get in the door, you can pay at the window. It's not, yes, people do it just for the vibes. Like if they,
I
yeah,
would be
yes,
surprised.
yes.
Front row at a Mario.
I,
That has to be
I'm
a
not saying,
couple dollars.
I'm not saying front row, but I've literally overheard at venues I've been at, people have mentioned something along the lines of they don't know the artist, they just,
Oh yeah,
they just literally
You've
stop
heard it too,
in.
Ace. Don't cap.
Not the headliner, not the headliner. Oh, opener, sure, yeah, definitely, but not the headliner. Like I feel like most people going to concerts know the headliner.
No, I'm telling you, Ace, I have heard people that have no clue who the headliner or the opener is.
Especially if you primarily go because like a friend invited you or something like that. I don't know.
That's another good point.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It could just be an outing like that. Like if the tickets aren't that expensive, I'd spend a $20-$25 on an artist I never heard before just to check them out for a couple hours. Like I would do. I haven't done it before, but I would do it. It's definitely not out of the realm of possibility.
I would. I wouldn't. I don't think I would ever do it. I mean, unless it was with a friend, like you said, maybe. But yeah, I don't. I can't imagine why I would do that. Like,
because
at least
you might enjoy it. What do you mean?
No, I would listen to them on like on Spotify first. Like, why would I just go to some random concert?
Okay, I'm gonna set a scenario for you. I'm gonna set a scenario for you. You're out in on some work venture. Let's say when you went to I'm not trying to dox. You went to that city a couple years ago for that work venture, right? You were there for the whole week, and you're out. You're like, okay, I'm gonna hit up this restaurant. You're by yourself. You're just trying to walk it around, and then you see, oh, there's a venue that has a concert. What, $15, $20 tickets? Oh, they're starting in 20 minutes. Let me stop in. I have no clue. Ace, you're telling me that you've never felt the sense of like,
actually, now that you're saying it, it was a free situation, but I have done it. I have done it.
That's crazy. I couldn't even. That situation's crazy to me, but I guess you know who you're talking to. Fair enough.
Yeah, you hear the music. All right, you wander in type deal.
All right, now is it my turn? Because
I know you're gonna be the exact opposite.
Ace,
so
dog,
it's fine.
Here we go. Go ahead, Ghost. If you're in a crowd and an artist hits you with this, what's your reaction or thoughts based off of it?
I quite literally could not disagree with your stance more, Ace. In fact, that stance makes me, I'm not gonna say as far as mad, but that stance makes me upset. Cause like I can't think of how many times I've turned this over my head, but when I go to concerts, just speaking for me personally, when I go to concerts, I do not dance. I'm not active. I'm not outwardly expressive at all. But just because I'm not outwardly doing stuff, the way I experience the music and the way I enjoy it is not a way that would be perceived. Like, an artist might look at me and be like, oh, they're not feeling the music, but that's just because I'm internalizing it. That does not mean that you're not feeling the music. And if the artist is this bent out of shape about people being at the show and not like up and dancing, or they're sitting down or whatever, for one, that doesn't mean you're not enjoying the music. And for two, it's your concert. It's your I'm not gonna say it's your fault, but it's their responsibility.
But to be fair, how are they supposed to know? Like, how are they supposed to know you're that one fringe guy who you consume music just by chilling? Like, for most people, it's
not about them knowing me personally, but I don't know about the most people thing, but I really don't know, like, if people fall into the camp of they're up and dance if they enjoy stuff versus just like being more.
I think an artist can doing at a show can infer that if the person is moving and dancing, they're enjoying the show. If they're not, then they're probably think that's a safe
All right,
assumption.
I guess, yeah. If you're making a generalization, yeah, like that might be accurate. I'm just saying, for one, there's people like me that won't outwardly show it. But again, let's keep it general. The artist doesn't know me. They don't know how I enjoy stuff. They're just seeing people that aren't really active. It is your job as the entertainer to get people active. And I have
That's pretty
two
good.
anecdotes. No, not like this. No, I got two anecdotes. One of them is
Okay, I want to
personal,
hear
one of
these
them is just a
anecdotes.
video. Y'all,
Mhm.
have y'all seen that video of, this is from like the friggin' late 90s, while back, but y'all seen the video of Lauryn Hill freestyle on that freestyle hyping up the crowd when the crowd was not active? That was one of the most hype.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'll just send the link to that, or you could include it in the vid or something, Quest. But
Yep.
bro, that was one of the most hype things just to see, like see it through video. And she got the crowd moving, got the crowd rocking. And again, the crowd was not hyped; they were sitting down. But she didn't go out and say like, "Y'all get your asses up. You're not appreciating my product." Like, it was done in a way that was organic, done through the music, and it still was like she wanted to see people getting up and getting active, and she took steps and made it happen in a way that was not like this. And then on a personal level, I've been to shows, multiple shows. I can think of one show in particular where I'm not one to be active, or be an active participant. Actually, I really dislike that when the artists kind of rely on the crowd to sing lyrics with them and all that. But that's kind of a separate tangent. But I'm not one to be for that. But the artist, through their show, through their showmanship, they made it entertaining. They kind of incorporated it into the music, like, and they made it like fun and enjoyable to like get up and be more active than you usually would be, in a way that was not coming at anyone that was sitting down, like Omar's doing. It's his job. There's absolutely no excuse for him to not be good enough at his job as an entertainer, that you got to resort to getting mad at people. Hell nah, bro. Hell nah.
Yeah,
I
even that one brother, what was, I forget his name, Dixon or something like that, the opener for the homegirl.
yeah.
He was kind of like playing into that energy. Like, obviously, I know some of y'all don't know me, and I'm the opener, so it's obviously not going to be as much active. But I'm still kind of speak and kind of bring life to it. And I think I agree. I mean, it's a disagree. Where it is kind of like a back and forth to what you're saying, Ghost. Like, an artist, his job to entertain, and then once the audience gives them that energy, they can feel as if they can continue and proceed. I think it is a bit of a back and forth. I don't know if you would agree with that.
I don't know. I mean, there is some level. Like, if the artist is making efforts to get the crowd involved and the crowd just isn't doing anything, yeah, like there are such things as dead crowd. But even still, you're not gonna tell me how to enjoy your music that I paid for. That's not gonna happen. If you're trying to hype me up and I'm cool, just relaxing and chilling, and I'm not trying to get all active or be super hype, that doesn't mean I don't enjoy the music. Again, you literally paid money to see you. This isn't a free show. I'm assuming this isn't a free show. It might well be, but for the most part, these
Don't
are
disrespect Omarion like that.
paying. Fair enough, but these are paying shows. Like, I'm already showing you the respect to your music by paying to be there. Like, I'm I just relax because I'm getting a little
Maybe
hyped
that's
about
part of the
this. But
maybe that's part of the experience. You were paying to potentially get yelled at.
if an artist yells
Yeah,
at
I
me
mean,
and tells me that I'm not enjoying their music the way it should be, I'm gonna be grudging against them, low key.
Jesus. Go ahead, Ace. What are you saying?
I was gonna say, that it is a valid point that, like, the artist, they don't necessarily have to, like, there's no monetary incentive for them to, like, gauge the crowd. And let's say it's one of these crowds where everybody's like Ghost, and they're all
That would be
enjoying
an
the
artist's
music,
worst
but they're
nightmare.
all just staring at the stage, the artist and the stage, and not doing anything. Um, if the artist is still able to tour, and let's say they're selling out venues with crowds like Ghosts, there is no monetary incentive for them to try to get the crowd to do anything. But I don't know. It's still like it's still to me. If this might be just a me thing, but like in any situations where like either if I was in a class or a teacher is trying to engage with the class or anything like that, where I know the person that is up being observed by an audience is looking for some type of engagement to or like confirmation that they're doing well or that they or that yeah that the audience is actually listening to them or paying attention to them. I'm always the person that um feels like more inclined to reciprocate that. So that maybe that's partially why like something like this is fine to me, because I mean, for one, I wouldn't have been the one sitting down anyway, but also it's like I said, it's the thing that's in the back of my head. Like we all came to see this person that, or this artist, whatever, that we obviously hold highly, given that we went to see them and paid money to see them.
Potentially.
It feels to me, it feels like something that that I just naturally want to do, to engage and to again, like, give the artist that affirmation that they're doing well by
Do you
showing
feel
that
it's
I'm
owed?
enjoying the music. What you say?
Do you feel it's owed?
um I mean, to me it's just it naturally feels like an old type thing. I mean, I'm not gonna put that on everybody, but um yeah, to me it kind of does feel that way.
Mm.
It's like I don't know.
So you, you're giving them your money and your energy. I know it's kind of a wonky
Yeah,
way to
yeah,
frame it,
yeah,
but
yeah.
fair enough.
I do see it as kind of like a two-way thing. Like, um, yeah,
Fair enough. And to be,
If I'm going
and
to a show, it's not about the artist. It's about me, bro. Like,
Jesus
I don't
Christ.
care.
All right.
that's
That is not no. Yeah, that might
I
come
think
off as selfish, but at the end of the day, like, come on, what are we doing here? Like, I'm not trying to be super capitalistic. Like, we live in a society where you produce goods that people consume, but
or
the
services.
artist, I'm showing you my support by the purchase and by my presence, by my time that I'm spending at your concert where I could be doing anything else. And that should be enough in and of itself. Like, I guess some artists will want to see visual, like, proof or representation of people enjoying themselves, but again, it's not always going to be very outward. And the fact that people aren't getting up in the middle of your show to leave, that should be enough to show you it.
So I
I
guess
don't
that's
I'm not gonna make myself uncomfortable to make you happy. I'm already there.
so I guess that's what you would say. You quote unquote old artists to just don't leave.
I'm gonna be honest. If the show was mid and he said that, I might literally just get up and leave. Like, being very real.
Jesus. I guess that's the kind of one of
I mean,
the
I
one thing.
probably would too, but again, not
Wait, what?
for.
Nah, you just said that you be supporting him.
Well, I'm kind of jumping between analogies here, but if it's an opener or if it's somebody that I'm not familiar with and I don't perceive them as doing well, then I would be inclined. I could be inclined to leave. Um, but again, like if it's the person that I went to see, they're not doing badly, and I don't perceive that they're like that they're performing badly or anything like that, um then yeah, I'm 100% like, not only am I good with it, I would be aligned with it. Like, yeah, I agree.
Oh, so your, I don't want to say bias, but your stance is just based off of your preconceived notion of the artist, and no matter what their performance is, unless it's absolute dog shit, you're gonna support them no matter what they say, even if it's a very mid show.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's crazy. That's
You know, the only
Yeah.
reason,
that doesn't make sense.
one of the
You should
reasons why I
hold them
can,
to a higher standard.
one of the reasons why I can kind of get on board with what he's saying, and well, one, because I know it's Ace and he's kind of just a pleasant, nice person in some regards, but also I kind of rock with that in the sense that it kind of, for me, I think an example of that is like when an artist put out like albums that I kind of don't find the best. Like I, you know, it may because I actually buy music, but I'll still buy the album even though if it's an artist I really rock with, I'll still buy the album even if like I don't really rock with like a few songs on there. So I can kind of, you gotta give support for the artists you like, right?
Right.
But
But okay. Oh, go ahead.
but what about when you feel like you're already supporting them and they're making you go above and beyond when you feel like you shouldn't have to because they're not warranting that extra effort?
I don't think I would ever feel.
Dog,
Again,
you've never
I
been to a
keep
bad show. You've never been to a mid show where the artist is like, "Damn, I expected more." You've never had that happen.
no. I mean, no. No.
Yeah, he
I
always
mean,
comes on
for
here so
again,
scared.
for
Box office is ridiculous.
I've seen bad openers. I've seen bad openers, and I have been one to not be as engaging because I didn't like I wasn't with rocking with the opener. That's definitely happened, but I can't, like, it's very hard for me to imagine an artist that I've listened to maybe for years, super into, and even if they're having an off night, like, I've been rocking with this person or this artist for years, like, just glad to be able to see them in person, see them live, see the craftsmanship, like, so I can't, like, it's very difficult for me to imagine a situation where that happens and I'm like, they're screwing up, like, I don't really want to, I don't really feel like engaging, like, I can't imagine, like, it's very difficult for me to
You're
imagine.
hugging.
Jesus.
Yeah, I feel like you're just glazing too much, to be honest. Like, you can't tell me that there hasn't
How are we
been
glazing how are we glazing a hypothetical?
one show,
We're not even talking about anybody.
one
Not
artist.
for artists that I follow, like, not for artists that I follow, no.
Nah.
It's fine. We know he's
You act
not.
like
Well,
I mean, I haven't even been to that many shows. What are you
all right,
talking
well,
about?
it's gonna happen one day, and then when it happens, you're gonna think back and like,
What you're
damn,
putting on
Ghost
him.
is kind of right. And then imagine that mid performance, the artist stops, like, hold on, cut the tape. Y'all need to get active. You're not really feeding into the vibe. Like, you're gonna be pressed. You're gonna be like, this show wasn't that good, anyways. All right, it's gonna happen. When that day comes, you're gonna think of me and think of my
Jesus.
Yeah, well, this super rare occasion that hasn't happened yet is the reason why I'm inside with Omarion for now.
I
You
bet
know, we are heard about talk about our current stances. The only other thing I wanted to confirm or get a grasp on, and I think I might have forgotten at this point. Damn, it was for you, Ghost. Yeah, because I wanted to confirm with Ace. It seems like on the extreme, if one of your artists was having a mid performance and they said something like this, you would be rocking with them. Oh, I was gonna say, on the extreme end of things, I think you see where you're at, Ghost. So if an artist was having a show and for all intents and purposes they were killing it, and you would even enjoy the show, but you're enjoying like how you proposed that you would, but it was a audience full of views, would you then admit that like the artist is justified in telling the audience to like, hey, you gotta move and shake a bit. You actually do gotta do something.
I'm not wholly opposed to an artist bringing it up in a manner that's, I don't want to say entertaining, but at the end of the day, they are entertainers. Like, you can't just come out and be pissy.
Yeah, it doesn't
at
have to
people.
be. It doesn't have
Yeah,
to be like Omarion.
yeah, I
It can
mean,
just be like, if
I'm
y'all
not.
feeling it, show me some head bobs, some something.
Yeah, that's. I'm as long as they're not salty about it. Cool. Like, it's happened at shows before. I don't think it's ever prompted me to change my behavior, but
Again,
I
not
don't.
you. I'm
not
talking.
really.
I'm talking about an extreme instance where literally everyone in the audience was acting like you. I'm trying to, put a
Yeah,
extreme
like
example to get where you're at.
I'm not really opposed to artists because I get there are some artists that like to see it visually. I'm not saying that they're wrong for that necessarily, and I'm not saying they're not.
Probably all artists, by the way.
It
Some artists.
That's what
doesn't
you
have to be.
say. This
It doesn't have
nah,
to be a
there's
whole thing. I just want to just play that extreme and see where you're at with that. That's fine.
yeah. If they bring it up, I'm not gonna be pressed unless they do it in a way that's not copacetic.
Jesus. Well, even though this was seems a bit out of character, but you always gotta remember when someone does something out of character, that's is their true character. For Omarion, still salute to Omarion. You know, he's playing one of his most notable, not even records. Is it his record? Or is it Janae Aiko's record? He's playing one of his most notable records, so maybe he wanted it to
Bro,
really.
If he was saying this for a record that wasn't even his, there's no justification. Come on now.
I think it is. I think actually, is it Chris Brown's record? Look, I don't know. The moral of the story is,
damn.
I can understand when the big record's on. The artist wants to see people moving. But regardless, salute to Omarion. Hopefully, they were just he said VA. Maybe Virginia just didn't rock with them like that. But
this is kind of off topic, but talking about crowd experiences is reminded me of probably the funniest moment I've ever had in a show, where the artist was like having people sing along with the track, and then she literally said like, "This is shit, sing it again," to the crowd.
Jesus.
It was funny the way she said it, but yeah, that's pretty funny. Like, that's a fine way to call people out, but just don't get salty with it.
God, it's got to be funny.
Yes, be entertaining.
Fair enough. If there's nothing else, we can move on to the next topic. Okay, so I don't know if y'all heard about this or are familiar with this streamer. Look out and says Twitch streamer Shell0 or Shell0. I didn't really follow up. I'm not too familiar with this brother. Let's say Shell0 gets pressed for not having a real job by his father midstream after he wasn't able to pay the light bill. Admittedly, I'm always a bit dubious, I don't know if that's the right word, of some of these interactions, because when you're in the business of streaming, as we all know, you have to kind of put on a show and anything for entertainment's sake, as long as the crowd is cheering. But we'll watch the interaction first, and we'll see how you guys feel about it. Go ahead and play that.
You can't be just sitting in the room all day. I go to work, your mama go to work. It's not even like I'm not doing nothing though. You ain't doing shit but sitting in the room in front of the damn computer. That's what it looked like. You making money? Of course. How you making money? I don't see it. How you making money? You selling dope? No. Well, how you making money then? You sell a damn light bill. Do you see the light bill? I see it. You can't be just sitting in the room.
Okay, so again, I apologize for the choppiness, but yeah, so basically, like Captain said, Homeboy's pops is pressing him about a light bill and his ability or inability. We don't know this brother's whatchamacallit. Um his ability or inability to generate some money. And yeah, obviously we don't know the scale or size of the audience, but it's one of those situations where the audience is probably both laughing at him, but also a decent level of sympathy. For context, if anyone cares, this particular streamer is about 20 years old. And obviously they haven't popped off yet, but you know, they're big enough for a clip like this to generate some virality. And I think it kind of goes back to the topic and or discussion of surrounding like the dynamic between parents and young adults. Obviously, this is a brother that's still living at home, and there seems to be some level of expectation for him to pay forward or contribute to the bills and finances of the household. And I'm curious to know what you guys think about this type of interaction. Do you think that I kind of sometimes I kind of write down notes and questions. I kind of wanted to ask you guys, do you think the pop should have been nicer? But that's that's kind of lame. And hey, man, we're all men here. Maybe not more nicer, but what do you think of this kind of approach? And there's a whole bunch of comments I want to put in. I'll just leave it at that. What do you think of this kind of approach to a young adult? And also, does the I don't want to say occupation, but does the type of I guess they tell he's making money. Does the type of occupation that they're involved in, would that make you more empathetic or less empathetic for the brother? We'll start with you, Ghost. What do you think?
To be honest, I can kind of see this from both lenses. I don't have a problem with what Pops was saying because from his perspective, and I'm just extrapolating here from this 30-second video, but he's just seeing his son on the computer all day talking to people that he can't see. And it seems like that light bill ain't getting paid. And I don't know
He
how
can see
much.
the light bill coming in. That's what you can see.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's any monetary contributions coming. So, with like a generational gap where he might not get Twitch streaming and how it potentially could be very lucrative if you get lucky, he's just seeing that there's not really much progress being made and stuff isn't getting paid off or done. So he's like, what's the deal? And I don't think like he came off in a way that was like you talking to another man. Like you're not always gonna be able to be all nice and gentle all the time. But I think what he was saying, like I don't have a problem with it. And from the son's perspective, like I'm assuming that he's putting in the grind, trying to build up a following and all that, and that can be a very time consuming process that it might seem like he's doing nothing, but really he's again like hours a day streaming, interacting with people, trying to grow a following base. And he might think that the father doesn't understand, which he might not. But at the end of the day, like I think the most important thing is you can work toward a goal, you can work towards something, but if you're living under your parents' roof and there's an expectation, like after you get to a certain age, you need to provide some money and show that you're doing something with yourself, especially if the pops is working long hours, the mom's working long hours, and it seems like the son's just sitting around. I get why he might be a little pressed and why he's like saying this to him because like it's really a very much a new generation mindset of
Yeah.
you can put in a lot of time, a lot of hours, months, days, years, and you might not have a lot to show for it, but one night you can just pop off unexpectedly. Whereas older generations, it's kind of like you got to work towards a goal, got to work towards uh, a work with a job for a very long time to have a consistent income. So I get it. I'm not gonna kill either of them without knowing the full context, but I definitely understand. where both of them are coming from, but the pops especially.
Yeah, I tend to agree with what you're saying. And it's funny how much what you're saying kind of feeds into like the next topic, but we'll take it one step at a time. What do you think additional context, just for sake, would make you sway to lean one way or the other?
I guess for one, like to know is I guess the streamer's popularity isn't really that relevant. More so, is he putting in the time? Like, how often is he trying to stream, and how long has he been working at this? And is he contributing anything at all? Like, does he have a job on the side that he's doing along with this? Has he like said,
It
I
seems like
don't have
whatever he's
anything now?
contributing, I think what we can for whatever he's contributing isn't enough. Like bills aren't getting fully paid.
Yeah. I don't know, like did he say like I know that I'm not pulling my weight, so to speak, now, but give me a couple months and I'll have what you're looking for plus more? Because
Did he
like
put
you
up? Did
can.
he
Sorry,
like
what you
generate a
saying?
plan or something like that? Is it like
Yeah, because you can.
articulating what he will be able to do or what he can do in the future?
Yeah, I think that is definitely if we got the context of like he's providing that would go a long way to seeing the sun side more so, because
Yeah.
like you can literally be putting in the hours and streaming and doing everything the right way and still not get popular just because it's just a matter of luck sometimes. But that could be like 10 years with nothing
Yep.
to show for it, and that's just the way that streaming is. And
Entertainment in general.
yeah, entertainment in general. But it can be tough, but it's like at some point you gotta understand that you can work toward your dream and also have responsibilities that you need to put in extra effort to support your dreams if your original avenues aren't getting where you need them to be.
What kind
That
of
context wouldn't really help then.
Oh,
Sorry, what'd you
go ahead,
say,
Ace?
Ace?
I said that context wouldn't really help. Even if the dude had like I'm gonna stream this much the next 6 months consistently, and at this point I should have enough money to support us. Like, how is it even possible for him to um provide that like certainty?
Have to be
So
like a certainty, but a plan in place that shows some type of growth or progress. Like that, it's not like you had to put together a PowerPoint, but like even if it's not like a guarantee, like I guarantee I'm gonna have X amount of followers by this date. It could be,
He needs subscribers. Is what he needs.
yeah, followers, subscribers, whatever. It could be I'm doing this every single day, but by this date, if I haven't reached my goals, I'm also gonna get a part-time job and
oh,
be
gotcha,
sending you
yeah.
like 500 a month. Like it doesn't have to be like just a straight up a guarantee, but like a plan in place showing like this is what I aim to happen. If this doesn't happen, here's what I can do instead. That's more so
Makes
what I
sense.
meant.
Yeah, you're pretty on point. Although I would say if we got a pops like this, we all know some of our OGs, they need to see something. They need to see motion like now.
Yeah,
Um,
it's just not gonna be that understanding all the time.
Yeah. What about yourself, Ace? When you look at this interaction, what comes to mind? Do you have any level of empathy towards a young person in this type of situation? Does the type of grind that they're on sway you one way or the other? Do you think the pops is 100% justified?
I think the pops is mostly justified. The only thing I will say, like as far as empathy, is that if the dad didn't really steer the son to like do a specific thing to like guarantee an income, and maybe dream on the side is more so the path that the son should be taking than just going um fully into streaming as like the primary attempts to make money. Like, I think that would be the shortcoming for me. Like, I feel like it's the parents, a significant responsibility of the parents is to, or of parents is to, um steer their children towards a career path, or at least, either you call it like an intermediate career path or whatever. Even if the kid has like a passion to do something in the arts or in the entertainment or in um yeah, any type of field that doesn't have a guaranteed uh paycheck off rip. um yeah, I feel like that's a significant responsibility of parents to steer their children in that way.
Mhm.
So yeah, if the dad hasn't done that, then and the kid decides, well, I want to try streaming, and that's what I'm gonna do, and um isn't really thinking about the short term. Well, maybe I'm not gonna be able to pay the bills. Um, it's kind of it's kind of on the parent as much as the kid. Um, but
You
yeah,
say
like
that,
I
and you say that, and you're 100% true. But you know that could in itself cause a little divide of like, hey, like in interim. Well, one, there's so many things. One that I think the pops or the parent has to understand the dynamic of what a young person like this is talking about in this day and age, because we're saying like a parent should be able to like say to them like, hey, do this part time and do that, do a job part time, but like, or school part time, whatever the case may be. But a older person might not even understand the dynamic of like, okay, you put certain hours to streaming, then certain hours to doing this, like doing your real job. They might not understand how much time or what is needed for streaming, or the proper time to stream, or whatever the case may be. And two, I think you can still understand that can cause a divide of which like, what if the child comes back and said, or not the child, but what if the person comes back and says, well, if I put in that time towards working, and I can't put in time towards streaming, and streaming is about like numbers in the long game, and there's a little contention of like that, trying to pushback of that.
you're gonna for the first question, um, I would hope, and this is probably, I mean, this is almost certainly not true, but um, that the parent would be at least willing to hear the kid out about whatever venue that they're trying to go down to to have like be their ultimate career, or even if it's not their ultimate career, just the thing that's going to be making them money primarily in the short term. I would hope that the parents would, say it's kid wants to be a Twitch streamer. The parent doesn't have no clue what the heck a Twitch streamer is. I would
What?
hope they would
Dog,
still
I'm just I think of all the island parents, bro. Try to explain the concept
I
of a
know.
Twitch.
The majority is just probably not gonna it's probably not gonna work out. But yeah. Regardless, that would be that's the answer to the first question. I guess I don't have anything better than that. Um, but to the second part, which was what was it?
Just
What
basically,
was the
what do you
second question?
what happens if like there's any level of contention of like, hey, try to do this while doing this, but they're pushing back because I think we could easily imagine a world in which you're trying to guide a young person that's trying to blow up in streaming, so they already kind of have a, I don't want to say vain mindset, but the streamer mindset, and when you try to guide them towards something that is a bit more stable, they're like, but I'm trying to be the next speed, actual speed. So I don't really want to work at X part-time job. Like, how does a parent do it, or a person that's trying to guide that young person with that type of contention?
Okay, yeah, yeah. So in that situation, like I mean, you're basically getting into like, what if the kid just doesn't agree with the parent at all? And it's like, to
Well, if there's
me,
pushback, no, let's not say they're flat out like mutinous, but they're kind of like, well, you just I want to like they'll say I'll think about it, but then another few weeks will go by and they're just streaming.
yeah, I mean, it's like to me, I don't know, I don't know. You're getting into questions of like how do you parent your children in general when the parent and the child just don't agree. Like if that's the case, the parent can always come back and say, look, we need money, we need bills to be paid. Right now, you're not contributing. I don't see it. It's definitely not happening in the short term. Maybe it would happen in the long term, but we need the money right now. So I need you to pursue a short, maybe call it a short term job, whatever. It has to be something that can pay the bills right now. I don't like what else could the parent do after like they have that conversation.
So you
You
foresee a
don't.
world in which it would make 100% sense for a pops to be like, forego your dreams or your goals that you got going on and get to work.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't have a problem with that.
And that's gonna create a space in which that young person and that parent will be on uh like copacetic grounds.
I mean, maybe not in the short term, but the bills got to be paid. What are we talking about?
Well, I have
You
a
gotta. I mean, you guys. In some ways, you gotta like. You don't get to do everything you want in life. Like,
so I got a
it-
question for you, Ace. Building on that, what if it's not about like the actual bills? Like, what if the bills don't really need to be paid? It's more so your your. I guess let me frame it like this: this is your child, and you're financially stable, and it's not a matter of you need help paying the bills. It's more so a matter of responsibility and all that. Would your
Mhm.
stance be different personally, like giving advice? Because again, the you don't need the money. It's more so just you want to instill these habits in the child in a way that you think makes sense. Would your response change then?
Yes, 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 certainly. I think like say you are just say I am just super well off. The kid really could just live off me if they wanted to. Like it wouldn't be a problem financial. Like it wouldn't even be something I think twice about in terms of financial burden or anything like that. Then the the I think I could be convinced as far as okay, this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to do this Twitch streaming thing. Granted, I have full knowledge on um what Twitch is and what Twitch streaming looks like and how you can make money doing it. If that's the case, then I could see myself being fine with it, but it would still be something where like I would have to see I would have to see the level of effort being put into that as would be put into an actual job. So like, a regimented schedule type thing, a goal oriented type thing where you are setting goals for yourself in terms of the amount of subscribers you're going to be trying to hit per month. If you're not hitting that, why you're not hitting that, what you can do to affect that. These type of things. Like
You're gonna
it's
be the
not just
kid's
gonna be it's not just gonna be the
Twitch
kid is
manager.
just yes, it's not just gonna be where the kid is just up in their they're in their room hours throughout the day, streaming off and on, and things are kind of working out, but it's not really it's it's not really something that they're putting the level of effort that they would put into an actual job, because then it's like okay, now you're basically just mooching off me for the gamble that your stream is going to pop off. You're not, and I think that the risk there is um you're the the kid isn't getting the values instilled in terms of like, just the responsibilities that an adult has. Like you're not really um I don't know, you're not really getting those values. So it's it is a detrimental thing if you allow the kid to just keep living like that perpetually, because they are going to just perpetually um mooch off you, unless there's some drastic thing that changes where all of a sudden I do need you to help pay the bills or something like that. There's no incentive for them to grow as an adult.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm rocking. Um, you know what's interesting? And I guess it's not really that interesting because we kind of strive, and I think our general mindset is doing what makes the most sense and not just approaching things from that ultra conservative traditional values that we may or may not be used to. But I think I have like the hottest take here of like one, hearing you guys talk. One thing that's really missing in all this equation, and not to focus on a situation like this, but just using as an example, one of the key factors that's missing is like communication between like the young adult and the parent. And it's kind of messy because I also am very conscious, and I'm tend to lean towards like I don't think it's worth trying to change the mind of older folks. like like OG is, they're kind of just fixed in where they're at, and it's not worth changing them. But I think, and you can just tell, and I've seen this type of interaction and this type of story a million times. Like there's like little to no communication between individuals like this. Like the fact that they're coming in like, oh, do you make money doing this? Like you just sitting here, like they don't even understand the realm and environment, like kind of like what you were saying. Like they don't even understand like the world of streaming, and that's applicable to like a lot of the things that a younger person might be into that an older folk is not into. And while trying to explain to them and get them inundated with the entire streamer world, or whatever the entertainment world, or whatever the respective hobby trying to turn professional realm you're in, at least if you're like on a consistent basis, like, oh yeah, today I collabed with this streamer, I gained a couple subscribers, this is what the projection looks like, you know this is some ideas I'm trying for my stream. Even if you like are on like a somewhat consistent basis, like communicating with your parent and trying to get them more involved, even if they don't really care, I think then a parent can get more they can be on a smoother ground than busting into your room one day and be like, hey, here's a light bill, what's going on here? Like
Yeah.
they're just very off in that regard. Um, and also on the other hand, I don't know if this is juxtaposed to what I just said. Um, but in the same realm, I also, as pertains, this is a male exclusive point. I also don't necessarily see any problem with, you know, old OG or father being relatively harsh and strict in this regard with their young sons, because like I said, this brother or brothers like this are around that like 19 to 22 range. Well, obviously, the life cycle for males developing and getting to where they're successful is a bit lengthier, 30 20s, quote unquote. Early on at this age, you got to be on point with them so they don't fall into some like BS. You got to actually stay on top of it. I think it's so pivotal. Like there is if you look at some of the comments, there is some level of sympathy for this brother and brothers like this. And again, we've all seen like some streamers blow up, and we've all seen people in entertainment space blow up. There's a million one artists that have stories about how like they wanted to continue to pursue music, but their parents or somebody in life was like, no, don't do that. And now all of a sudden that they're some of the biggest artists ever. But you also still got to be strict with and like harsh on young men. It sucks.
Yeah. You know what's ironic is thinking about all the success stories we see of these streamers popping off. How many of them look like they could really use or really could have used a solid father figure in their life for one reason or the other? Because a lot of them, I'm not naming any names, but a lot of them be kind of wilding out,
No,
not
we know
behaving
things
like you would expect of a real man. But
Yeah, we know the exact
Yeah.
type.
generational gap where he might not get. Which,
I can just playing on stream in the background. Nice.
My phone.
Unless there's something wrong. Unless there's something wrong with the stream, then tell us
Yeah,
later.
Discord is showing an error. I don't know if it's just on my end.
Still alive.
You can see the stream in Discord?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's asking me to close it. Maybe it's just my viewing.
Put a couple fingers in the air. Okay, yeah, you're still good on OBS. So you're good.
But I don't know why it's asking me to close the stream. Whatever. I mean, it doesn't really matter. It's still showing on the YouTube as well. So once I change the tab, it'll be fine. It should be fine.
Weird interruptions aside. Is there anything else? This topic kind of feeds into what we're about to talk about next. But anything specific about this? Pardon me.
No,
if not, you can pull the next topic. There's two stories with the next one. And I actually think pull up the second link first. The Louis Vuitton one. That's kind of the quick. Like, these aren't related at all, but my brain ties them together. Okay. So, like I said, there's a couple of stories interviews that came out somewhat recently, and I definitely wanted to come here and talk about them. And they might not seem related, but I feel that they do tie together, and I'm curious to know you guys' general thoughts on this. So one, I don't know if y'all heard the story. So to Black Millionaires page. After careful consideration, the owner of Louis Vuitton, y'all know about Louis, selected his 29-year-old son to be the next CEO of their multi-billion-dollar brand, Louis Vuitton. I guess that's the father parent brand or whatever. And then the caption, says, "Think about this next time you want yours to get out the mud." So, man, you guys have French names. Frederic Arnault. One of the Bernard Arnault's 5 children is set to take over as CEO of Louis Vuitton in June, marking his next move within the 330 billion LVMH empire. I know Louis is like the high-end fashion, but Jesus, that's a couple bills. After leading Louis Vuitton, MH, whatever, watch division for the past year, he'll now oversee the high-end Italian cashmere brand known for their $600 baseball caps, $3,000 sweaters, $10,000 coats. This is all a part of a broader power shift at the Louis Vuitton, as the next generation of Arnault cements their place at the top. Each of the Bernard's 5 children now holds a key leadership role within the world's largest luxury conglomerate, positioning the family to maintain control for decades to come. So, this is that classic case of and the caption kind of alludes to it, that classic case of in this world, especially in this country, there is a high emphasis on you work hard and you can be the next Bill Gates, the next Jeff Bezos, the next Elon Musk. You can be the owner of international big business. But I don't want to get ahead of myself, but when you see moves like this, you say, well, wait a minute, hold up. Nepotism in networking, but for the sake of who you know and who you are, what type of circle you're involved in, obviously plays a predominant role in things. And furthermore, it's what's interesting. The reason why I really want to get into a topic like this, because I think one thing we don't really talk about is like we all want to achieve some level of success and be established and pursue our goals and our ambitions. But when we do those things, if we ever get the chance to do those things, the plan and the broader idea is to create something to where your family could live and feed off of it. So it's almost like I don't believe this guy is the original founder of Louis, obviously, but like when you build a business, when you build something that becomes successful, or just in general build an environment, I don't think people's mindset is like, oh, I built this, and then the next guy that not randomly, but the super hardworking nobody guy from nowhere that did his education, built a scaled up business, I want that guy to take over. People do these things so like their circle can feed off and live off of it. So I don't know. That's something I was thinking about recently. I guess before we get into the Anthony Mackie interview, which again really for me ties into this, what do y'all think of? Is there a quote unquote right or wrong to that dynamic? Do you think? I mean, at the end of the day, the victory should go to the inner circle nepotism dynamic, or is this? Do you look at this and think it's kind of like messed up? Yeah, I guess we'll start there. Does anyone look at the story and think it's messed up? Start the easy question. What do you think, Ace?
I don't think it's messed up at all. I think it's perfectly fine.
What about you, Ghost?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that it's good, but it's very understandable. And if I was in this position, I'd probably do the same exact thing.
Yeah, I think we all lean on that. Okay. Seems like we're on the same page. Okay, pull up the Anthony Mackie interview. You can just So yeah, I would say, as we know, Anthony Mackie's, the star of the recent Captain America movie. It's beginning an Untitled career. So he's, he was doing some press a few weeks back, or some months back at this point. And he's been addressing quite a few topics, and this was one of the topics he bumped into, pertaining being put in certain positions, and the conversation of like your work ethic and relating to your position and what you can achieve.
In the business 24 years, right? And I've seen people go from nothing to the biggest stars in the world. I've seen people go from one role to winning Academy Awards and doing all this shit. And what I realized yesterday thinking about it, we're lying to our kids, dog. And I think that's a big problem in our community. We tell our kids that and this is fresh on my heart, like I literally just came to this conclusion last night. We tell our kids if they do right and they make the good grades and they go to the programs and they will become successful. If you work hard enough, your work will be paid off. And that's not true. Success is given. It's not earned. Because you can be the most brilliant. If one person don't tap you, each one of y'all. There were people who could hit harder, who could catch better, who could run faster, but somebody said, you're the one. And the other 50 behind you fell off. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And because of that, I don't know what that emotion or that feeling is the scary thing. Because I went to all the programs. I've done Broadway. I've done off-Broadway. I've been in the business 24 years. I've been in 2 Academy Award films. I've done independent films. I've done major motion pictures. Now I'm Captain America. So now what?
Hold up. Limitless. Biggest cap.
Also, salute to the Pivot Podcast. They do great. do a phenomenal job. So yeah, I mean, to be honest, I don't even know if I have to ask anything. That kind of gets right to the crux of like this particular topic, and like, and maybe now you'll kind of see why that Louis Vuitton story kind of ties into this because, you know, not to completely dismiss that that young man, the son of the Louis Vuitton owner. Like obviously, being in that world and being in that industry, they're probably well equipped to run. Like they're literally for a number of years was running like the watch division. I think it said. Uh, but at the same time, there's probably people that could definitely run a business better than him. But he definitely was given. So I mean, and like I mentioned before, I think even with that story and with this interview, I think it's probably not gonna change for a long time, if ever. The sentiment that keep working hard and you can achieve. But what's y'all take on that general discussion or like topic? Do you does any of this change your mind, or have you already had this type of perception? What's your general thoughts on the hard work versus things have to be effectively given to a person in order for you to really to make it to some degree. Let's start with what was it? Start with you, Ghost.
This doesn't really change my thoughts and perception of how society works. I do think that saying that hard work or that success is given, not earned, is a bit reductive because while it's true to an extent, I think I think in get I don't know if I'd say given is the right term. I'd say that there's a lot of luck and good fortune that is associated with success, and that good fortune and luck can be related to if you were born into a good family or if you caught a lucky break or whatever, tying into the nepotism. But I I do think that at the end of the day, 99% of the time, if you want to be successful, you have to work hard. But if you work hard, that does not guarantee your success at all. And it's kind of a simple way to frame it, but I think saying that it's given, it kind of makes it seem like it's hopeless and that you shouldn't even try, which is kind of a lazy mindset. And I don't think that's what Anthony Mackie was really the point of what he was saying. But I would just caution anyone that feels kind of hopeless about like I wasn't born into this multi-billion-dollar family that I was just given this position, so I shouldn't even try to be successful. I think if you take that route, that's just giving up and kind of taking the easy way out. But you should also understand that at the end of the day, even with your hard work and success, there's a very low chance of you. I wouldn't say being success. I wouldn't say being successful because there's a lot of different ways you can judge and measure success. And being a multi-billion-dollar millionaire is the upper echelon of pure success when it comes to money that a lot of people, most people, are not going to get to. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like it does. There are times I just sit and think, like, damn, if I was born into X family, then uh, I I really wouldn't have had to put in the work that I've had to put in to get to this point now, and my life would be a lot different. But it's you can't really dwell on it too much because if you do, you go crazy. And you can look at it the
Yeah.
flip side. Like if I was born into a really bad, poor situation where I didn't have any support system around me, then where would I be? So there's a balance to it. It's kind of a cheap way. It's kind of a cheap answer to just say don't think about it too much because you're not going to change it. But that might be the if I was giving advice, that might be the advice I give to people because really you can only control so much, and I'd say about maybe 30 to 40% of what you do has a direct impact on your successes, which seems kind of low, but it's better than you doing nothing to further yourself and having zero chance. But a lot of the stuff like where you get, it is very luck based and it's very fortune based, but you can do your best to um, be as fortunate as possible by putting yourself in spots where you're able to take advantage of the opportunity, even if you don't know if it's ever going to come. So yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
like it's kind of a cynical view on the society in general, but that's kind of the way the world is, and that you can do everything right. Like Anthony Mackie was saying, you can put in the hours, you can put in more work than anyone else, but there's going to be someone that worked less than you that's either less talented or more naturally talented without having to put in the work that will get farther than you, that will make more money than you, that will have more success in this world than you. And it's life. It's just kind of luck, comes down to luck sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's not bad at all. And to be honest, I think you were able to provide some positivity where in which there was it could look like a very pessimistic outlook. We try to avoid pessimism around here. Although, not although the percentages thing you were bringing up reminds me of the Fort Minor. Remember the name record? What are the percentages? Just 10%
10% luck,
Yeah, like
20%
20%,
skill,
skill,
15%
15%
concentrated power of
concentrated
will,
power,
5% paid.
5%.
We all know that damn song. That
it's
song was a
iconic.
banger, bro. That shit was a
It's
banger.
iconic.
Uh,
Um,
one other thing it randomly crossed my mind listening
go
to
ahead.
the first segment. I find it funny that all the people that will be complaining about nepotism and all that and how it's unfair will be the same people that are vehemently against DEI. Just say DEI and people immediately just flip out without even
Yeah.
understanding what it is and what the point of it is, which is to avoid nepotism in a lot of cases. But I just think that's very funny because nowadays say DEI once and people think that I don't know. We all know what DEI is a placeholder for, but there's just an equivalency that people cannot seem to grasp.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And we won't get into the whole thing tonight, but that is a conversation to get to. One and two, yeah, DI is such a trigger word these days for like no reason at all. It's actually unfathomable. Um, but you know that was well said. And what about you, Ace? The your general thoughts on this conversation. Does this change your mind? Did you ever have any different outlook pertaining to like the conversation of like success or certain things in life having to be given versus the hard work conversation? What are your sorry, it's kind of sporadic, but what are your thoughts, and especially based off what Anthony Mackie said?
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with Ghost. Like, I feel like Anthony Mackie's, it was just like it was too doom and gloom, and not for a, not for a very, not very well justified. Like the things he's talking about, even like I'm assuming the guys he was talking to are athletes. I mean,
Yeah.
this is my fault for not being familiar with the podcast, but yeah. So I mean, yeah, this podcast, but yeah. So you're talking about guys who, I mean, I guess if
I don't
they
know if you,
didn't,
I don't know if you peeped it. Sorry, I really do apologize for interrupting you. When he said that, when he's
yeah,
like, someone had to give to success to you. I kind of feel like they weren't really super rocking with him because especially in the world,
right,
especially if the world in sports, like you do have to put in some of the like hardest grind ever. But
yes, yes, that's pretty much what I'm getting at. It's like, yes, there is that element of you have to, I mean, somebody ultimately has to make the decision on you, especially if it's a thing like it's an athletic career or entertainment career. A lot of that is going to be networking and putting yourself out there, getting your name out there for people to people actually know to choose you. But yeah, like you're not even getting your foot in the door if you didn't put the effort in the first place. Like, and these guys, like these athletes and stuff, more effort than 99% of the population, 99.9% of the population. So they're I, downplaying downplaying that effort leads to success. I don't think that's necessarily the answer. Like it's certainly something that it's a reality that should be part of the discussion about, if you're having this discussion with your kids about just trying to get somewhere in life and make it to the point where, you can consider yourself to be successful. um yes, there is going to be that element of, you have to get your name out there. Um you have to network and get to know people, and ultimately, you know despite your best efforts, um there may or there yes it's likely that in some situations, you're no matter what you do, like, you're not going to get the position. Somebody that you perceive to be less qualified is going to get it. um that should be part of the discussion, but at the same time, it should not downplay the fact that you need to put in the effort to even get to the point where you can say, okay, this choice was unfair. Like, you have to get there first. You have to get your foot in the door. So yeah, I'm mostly opposed to this standpoint. It's like it's doom and gloom. Like, he has such a doom and gloom outlook, and it's almost like, to me, it's like, hey, you're making this seem a lot worse than it really has to be. Like, and especially too, we're talking about levels of success that, I mean, yeah, sure, everybody wants to be rich, but you can it's I think it's much more feasible to get to the point where you can still acknowledge that you're like living a comfortable life, and you're somewhat satisfied with your position in life, as opposed to being, the ultimate mega rich that, everybody strive or wants, but, very, very, very few achieve.
Yeah, I get that.
Like, he's talking
And not to
about,
hyper
oh, I'm at go ahead.
and not to hyper focus on him, um, in this particular clip, but I guess it's also worth noting he is kind of speaking from that position of like you said, he listed off all his background, quote unquote accolades, like his all the things that he did on his grind up, but it was only like seemingly in this day and age, after 24 years plus, that he was chosen for this big, not breakout role, but this big main screen role. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like that's why he's kind of trying. That's why it seems like he's imparting, like, at some point in time, I did all these things, but it had to be that one right director or producer that finally said, hey, let's make a movie where he's the star.
Mhm. Yeah. And the other thing too is, like,
Go
I
ahead.
don't think even even acknowledging that nepotism exists, I don't think that completely eliminates the validity of, if you work hard enough, um you can achieve what you're trying to achieve. Um because, like, I don't think anybody should expect for a situation where it's like a Louis Vuitton type thing. I mean, I guess you could, in a way, like, expect that he would pass that to, say, his senior level advisor, right next under him. Maybe the position would be passed on to them. But at the same time, I think that mentality should be applied more so to, like, if if you work hard enough at something that you built from the ground up, that's more so where you can, I think, where you can expect to, as long as you put in enough effort, eventually achieve success. And maybe it's, multiple, um or most likely it's going to be multiple like business ventures or things like that. But as long as you stick with the grind, I don't think it's an unreasonable thing to to expect that you can achieve a level of success that uh you know many people don't get to.
Mm. But I mean, you acknowledge that like it's probably not uncommon. Sorry, the question was not in them. It's probably common for kids to expect to live off certain fruits of their parents.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So somewhere down the line, someone's gonna feel like they're entitled to something. Like obviously we
Yeah.
can't get into the mind of all these children, the children that are children of big business owners, but
Yeah.
I'm assuming there is a certain feeling of like, as long as I showcase the fact that I can follow in their footsteps to a certain extent, I'm gonna get this. There probably
Yeah, I
was
mean,
no,
my
there
point
probably
is,
there probably was little to no doubt that children don't think they're going to so one day take their parents' inheritances.
yeah, but my point is more so it's not like when Anthony Mackie talks about, we're lying to our kids, telling them that if, they strive to achieve success, that they can achieve success.
That is a wild take, by the way. That's a hot take.
Yeah. When he says that, I don't think he's talking about, billionaires are lying to their to their children. It's more so like it's the average person, the middle class, like you're like I think he's targeting them and saying, people are lying to their kids saying that, you can achieve the success of whatever the upper class, like, upper class wealth, things like this. And that I would say no, like if the kid does strive to build something for themselves, if they if they continue in that and they're diligent in that, and they're able to weather failures, to the point where if they're able to weather failures and strive to get that success, I don't think that's an unreasonable um uh like thing to instill in our children. I
Not
don't
at
think
all.
it's unreasonable.
I don't think maybe outside Anthony Mackie, I don't think anyone would. Although I think he would come in and say, "I told you so," when you have a little kid that like worked super hard and for the classic like basketball tryout example, like your kid think he worked super hard, he put in those hours. He after homework every night he would go and practice and shoot, but he didn't make the team. Like what do you tell that little kid? And the last spot went to the coach's nephew. Yikes.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's I think where you have to talk about the the reality of the career choice you're deciding on. Like you are limiting yourself if you are going for something like an athletic career where one I mean, to some extent this is true for most everything, but
That
your
applies
body,
for literally every single job.
That could apply to any industry.
Not necessarily. Well, somebody making the NBA is not the same as somebody working in like tech industry or working in the engineering industry and being able to make something for themselves. Somebody can choose somebody for that. Like the percentage of people that are able to achieve success through sports versus through tech or engineering.
But at that tech firm, if the owner has a son in the engineering field, he might hold that spot for that son or that child, that nephew or that family or that friendly friend opposed to somebody that already has the accolades and has the background success story.
This is what I was saying too. It's more so applicable to building something for yourself. So I don't think you can expect to necessarily to be able to work your way up corporate ladder at a particular job because of the potential politics and nepotism and things like that. But making something for yourself, building a business for yourself from the ground up, I think in that realm, yes, like if you strive hard enough, and if you are able to weather potential failures for multiple business or ventures or whatever, I think it it's it's more likely than not, or even you can't consider anything to be guaranteed, but more likely than that, you will be able to achieve success. I think
the odds.
in that way you can instill that principle in children.
I think that's a good principle to instill, but I don't really think it's true. It's like
I don't see why not.
every walk of life, like in your example, you're talking about like building something from the ground up, like starting your business or whatever. Like I I don't think that I don't think that what you're saying is really representative of like real life. And the way I say it like that is that there are definitely success stories, and you are more likely than other fields, I will say, to achieve success versus other routes because you're kind of doing it yourself. But at the same time, like for one, like there are still opportunities and like clients, people that you're working with. A lot of it is relationship based, and you can get into nepotism that way. But I think that you saying that like more often than not, people will succeed as long as you put in the work and the time. Like if you don't have a foundation, of a monetary foundation, it is very tough for you to succeed without a help from someone else. And a lot of the times, if you don't have parents that are in a position to provide that support for you, then you're going to fail a lot more than people that do have that background, do have those connections kind of established already. Not to say that it can't be done, because it definitely can, but like all these I'm anecdotally
I don't think Ace.
speaking.
I don't think Ace is saying if you start from zero, like literally by yourself in zero, like you just work hard, you're guaranteed to make it. I don't think anyone's saying that. But I think we're trying to like.
Well, I kind of heard it like that, but I might have just been misinterpreting it.
I mean,
But
so first of all, we're talking about principles to instill in children.
yeah, again,
Based
like
on
at the end of
Anthony
the day,
Mackie's
at the end of the day, I think
statement.
the principle is good to instill, but just speaking realistically, I don't know. I don't know
But
if
it's like,
it's really accurate.
what do you mean by
Wait, you wouldn't disagree
speaking?
that you wouldn't agree that that type of principle, that type of mentality, just increases the odds of success.
Yeah, I
Exactly.
think it definitely does. Like it's not a bad thing to instill, but I'm just saying
I mean,
like
I think it's the thing to instill, to be honest.
there's a
Like,
higher
what else
chance
do you
of
tell them?
yeah, like again, it's just kind of like the lesser of evils type of situation where this is what you're saying is probably the thing to tell your kids, but there's a higher chance of failure than might be implied when you're instilling this message to the
I
kid.
mean, sure, yeah, you can be like, I guess you could be like, okay, there's there's a 99% chance you're not gonna get to where you want to, but because of that 1% chance, you should strive to. But I
I'm not
mean,
even saying that, like, because that's like really negative. I'm not even saying that you should tell the kids at all that it might not be as easy as you think. But I'm just saying, like, realistically.
But the point is also, it's not going to be easy, like, at all. Like, I don't think anybody should say it's going to be easy. The point is that you have to strive for it. So you're already saying it's not going to be easy. But if you do strive, if you do work through the difficulties, there is more chance that you'll be able to achieve success than just not trying.
Yeah, that's like I agree with all that you're saying. This is kind of not even a point for me
I
to
guess
be
the
negative,
only
but I'm just
level of difference in what you could logically infer onto like a young person, since I think it mainly would be applicable to like a younger person. Would you guys say you would like having this kind of understanding the way the world works? Would you put more emphasis on like staying focused on your grind and doing everything that you need to do to excel in your path, or would you put a high level emphasis on like putting yourself in positions in networking to try to get not under but like to get in the circles of people that would be able to give you those opportunities? Do you think one of those principles kind of matters a bit more? What do you think, Ghost?
what I would want to instill on my kids is like the more self-sufficient route. But given the society and world that we live in, the networking might be end up being more effective. But yeah, it's I think the first route is what I would probably instill, even if it's not as successful, just because
Jesus.
I
Same for
don't
you.
want to have the message that the kids get to be you need someone else to succeed and you just kind of find that person. That feels like kind of gross to me. Even if it's true, even if it's true. I'd rather say rely on yourself and other people is needed, but yourself primarily. Because I think that will instill better values just from a moral standpoint than a business standpoint. But
Bringing
yeah,
morality into the equation. What about you?
that's a
Ace?
good
Same,
question.
or you would differ?
I mean, I think honestly, it would be a bit of both because, like, to me, this is something I've thought about a lot with myself and my mentality. I was more so almost 100% the work hard on my own, and as long as I do that, like, I'll get to where I need to be, kind of thing. And I think that was a mistake, particularly in college. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I think you Quest, and maybe Ghost, you as well will be like, this was not the correct move. But I wasn't focused on networking at all. I wasn't too focused on like even getting myself out there. Like, I did the career day type thing, but I wasn't that focused on trying to get my name out there. It was more so just let me just strive, do my work, and I'll be good. And yeah, I don't think that was. I think I should have put a lot more emphasis and thought into networking and yeah, just trying to make those connections and maintain connections too. So yeah, like, being completely transparent, it would be a bit of both. I mean, I'll probably end up putting a very high emphasis on the networking too, just because of
Mm.
my own experiences.
I totally that totally makes sense to me. And not so much on a for myself, maybe not so much on a like personal sense, but I can definitely relate to that in the sense like yeah, when for whatever reason, and I kind of know some other reason, and in the like college space, like I just didn't necessarily have the mentality of like gather some level of community that I can actually connect with like outside of like once we start to move on. And I think and definitely something. I guess something. I mean, I don't like to say I learned this, but that's definitely I agree 100% in the sense that like there's when I have kids, when I have children, it's definitely going to be a certain. One of the messages I really want to impart is like when you find, and, I don't really like using good, like using a better word, but when you find like good, hardworking folks that are very down to collaborate, complete missions, just like dependable, reliable people. I think it's very important to stay close to those people to a certain degree, because it can really be a benefit mutually in a lot of cases to you in all facets of life. So that's definitely one thing that I 100% agree with. Yeah, all the same. Even though it's definitely I guess a hot take, so generally salute to Anthony Mackie. I think again he's definitely going based off his own experiences, and I feel like a lot of people looking on the outside would think, well, it makes sense. I mean, you know, you don't just wake up one day and be Captain America. Like you gotta like be. It makes sense that you might be like play like a side character role and then kind of work your way up depending on like your hard work and your talent in stories. Of course, when you see the stories like the Louis Vuitton story, it might put you in a sense of like, okay, well, at the end of the day, the best high paying successful positions in life are going to go to the kids or the people that know the people that are at the top. One thing I kind of take walk away is, I mean, and I think we all kind of generally know some of these principles, but you definitely have to instill in young folks that you do have to work hard to get to where you want. But I guess there's not necessarily anything wrong with instilling also one that having some level of network is important too. And also, I guess depending on the stage in life, because I think that's one of the missing parts. Depending on the stage of life, is like a super young kid, you don't have to bump part on something too much negativity. But as they get older and they start experiencing some things like I feel like one of the first times a kid like applies to jobs and then they get rejected, that probably is worst conversations of like you have to be realistic about like what can happen in this world. I think that's where some of this conversation might come in. Like you might not always get the job just because you were quote unquote qualified for it come in.
Yep.
But yeah, there's nothing else for now. What this one guy said, Anthony Mackie gave me a bad experience. He slammed the trailer door on my face, trying to meet dude. He's not for the people. Correction, he's not for me. Is this a random stoner? This guy
Stop
really
crying. Shut up. No one
Jesus.
cares.
So it's a wild anecdote. This guy, I don't know. Anyway, sorry, I'm just reading the comments. If nothing else, we can move on to the next topic.
This is a topic?
Yes.
Yo, there's no way.
So I'm not sure if y'all saw this. I don't know who is in the Australian gaming community. The biggest Smash Bros tournament in history has a $0 prize pool. So the Dextero. This is actually a topic that I would love to save or love to have on like a more gaming focused podcast, but it's Smash related, so I can't not talk about it. And I am generally curious to know you guys' takes on it. So I'll read a bit of this article. I won't read all of it potentially. So, despite being a near 7-year-old game, Smash Ultimate is having its biggest tournament ever in 2025, with the world's best players all attending. However, it's also a baffling $0 prize pool despite the level of competition. On May 4th, Smash Ultimate players from across the globe will travel to Japan to compete at Kagarabi, number 13. Kagarabi, hope I'm saying that right. Is already one of the Kagaribi, thank you, is already one of the top events on the Smash calendar, as many of the world's most elite They should have me. Players such as and these random stoners, Cola, Maya, Hurt, Zach Ray, Sultan, all these great Smash players hail from Japan, but the next installment is a different breed. This will be the most stacked Smash tournament in history, beating out Genesis, Evo, Supernova, and more. Unlike most events, the winner of this won't win any money. So, as you know, and the article kind of goes on to speak towards, one as it pertains to Nintendo, and two as it pertains to Japan. They don't. They're not really with the prize pool stuff. Like there's a lot of tournaments happen in Japan, and a lot of tournaments happen from Japan-based companies, in which, because of the gambling laws, I think if you scroll down a bit, it kind of speaks to this. Scroll down a bit, Ace. Okay, so given all this hype, you'd think there would be a huge cash prize for the victory, right? Nope, it won't. It won't matter if you finish first or go 0-2. The only thing on the line is bragging rights. This is because of government regulations against gambling, which gambling is haram, I'll remember, which date back to many years. But why can't a tournament like Capcom Cup 11? Oh yeah, Capcom Cup put up $1 million as a grand prize while being hosted in Japan, but Smash tournament like this has no money on the line. Well, if you scroll down a bit, and this is also some of the. This was actually funny reading this. This is actually like the ticket or whatever that, like, if you're participating in this tournament, you look at. Well, Capcom Cup is an invitational event, one where every attendee has their travel paid and is guaranteed to win at least some money. Kagarubi, meanwhile, has entry fees and open bracket. So because people have to pay to enter the tournament, it's directly viewed as gambling. Gambler. But those entry fees are essential when it comes to keeping the event organizers afloat. So the article goes on to speak towards like the fees that you have to, and the rules that you have to abide by if you want to enter the tournament. Again, Smash being one of my favorite games, it's super. I hope they stream this. I would love to see how the matches end up being like. But there is a revolving conversation around tournaments like this. And I guess the bigger question that comes out of this, to kind of get right to the point, do you guys think that when it comes to competition, outside of like, video games, I guess you could apply this to any form of competition, do you think there needs to be a financial incentive in order for us to see like the highest level of competition? Or do you think status and other non-financial accliments or achievements, you can still see the highest level of competition? I'm curious to know what you guys think. What do you think, Ace?
I think you do need the financial incentive to see the highest level of achievement. Maybe this is limited to certain industries, but I don't even know if that's true. It might. I think I believe this is applicable to any type of competitive activity.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. I was trying to like relate it to like sports and other things. Like I really kind of. I know there's just gonna be consensus, or if anyone knew a world in which it would make sense that you could see the highest level competition without it. But what about you, Ghost? Real quick, what do you think?
So I think there definitely needs to be a really good incentive, and most of the time it is money related, but in this case I think is kind of an exception. Like I'm a super big fan of competitive stuff. Like I've been following the competitive scene for like 4 years at this point. And in this case, I think there's even beyond the financial compensation, there's context behind why it might not matter for this tournament specifically. For one, Smash tournaments don't pay that well, even in the US. And for two, there's kind of been like a whole narrative of North America versus different regions of the world, like Europe, Japan, and this is kind of like the biggest tournament in Smash Ultimate's history, the be all end all. Like if you win this, you're basically the best player in the world. And I think in this case where it's like purely for the love of the game, purely just competitive incentive to be the best, I think it kind of supersedes the money in kind of an exception or kind of a big caveat is a lot of these players are getting sponsored or getting donations to attend, so it's not like they're just spending. A lot of them aren't just spending their hard-earned money. Some of them are, but I think when it is like just purely about being the best, I think there's an element that goes beyond money that kind of transcends that and just becomes like a purely, again, for the love of the game, for a competition.
But what really makes it the exception? We didn't really speak to anything that's exception about this. Like everything that you're mentioning could, in theory, translate to any other facet of competition.
It could, but
like like for the NBA, why don't they just not play players, but the person that wins the NBA championship is still will be known as the best?
Well, I guess the equivalent would be, let's say NBA teams play in their own divisions year round and they never play other players outside of the divisions or other teams outside of the divisions, with like an exception of like once or twice a year. So you kind of don't know what the best teams are relative to each other. You just kind of know that this team is good in their own division.
So it's then the frequency in which the players play each other?
Say it again?
So it's the frequency in which the players play each other?
Yeah, I think that has a large bearing in it. And again, like let's say this was the biggest NBA tournament of all time, with like every player, past and present, like some type of Space Jam type stuff, was playing in the same arena in the same month or whatever. I'm kind of being dramatic here, but this would be the closest equivalent to that, because again, biggest tournament in Smash Ultimate history. A lot of players have not even been to Japan at all before, and this is kind of like a bookend before we get the new Smash, like the final tournament. Again, if you win this,
allegedly,
you're the best. Like it's this is like double the value of any other tournament before, like ever. So I guess there's a prestige.
Well, there's no value to it, but
yeah, like value being like rankings, stuff like that. And the value and the prestige isn't really money. It's just, again, it's just if you win this, like you can be like number one in the world, which is obviously a big accomplishment from a competitive standpoint, and then you can get sponsors and all that, get put on the map. So yeah, it's like that'd be why this would be an exception versus like just some random tournament that was held a month later in the US with like half the attendees with no prize pool. Would be a lot different.
I suppose I actually do see what you're saying, and I guess kind of boils down to like circumstance and also like the point in time of the life cycle of the particular event. And it's good that we're at least able to kind of get to some level of sense of like what makes a certain level, what makes a particular competitive event worth it, even though there's no financial incentive. And obviously, as you mentioned, there's never a zero financial incentive, because as you mentioned, if you're in this tournament, you likely have sponsors, and you're probably likely a pro gamer, and so there's no way you're just making $0. Especially if you're like a streamer, that's also going to be a would also be a boon to your livelihood. But doesn't it still circle back to the fact that like even in this, like if Japan were to change their laws tomorrow, then the organizer would just be like, okay, so there'll also be a prize pool. Like there is like the restrictions a lot of times do relate to like the respective rules of that like environment. So like in this tournament or a tournament like this, where it's like the grand final tournament. After this, there probably won't be any mega tournaments, all-star tournaments, which we have all these elite players. If you change the rules to make it so, okay, this is the last tournament, but also, or one of the last, prestigious tournaments, but also there's $1 million prize pool. Well, then wouldn't that increase the level of competitiveness? Because
Yeah,
not only are they playing for the rights or the title, but also there's money in the line.
yeah, it would 100% increase. Like, I don't think there's any way around like prize pools increasing the incentives. My argument is more so the competitive stakes would kind of equal a tournament that is smaller but has a much larger prize pool just because of the context surrounding it. But if this same exact tournament had $1 million prize pool tomorrow, yeah, it would definitely be larger. Like there's no way around that. Like I think at the end of the day, money is it's at least an equal motivator to competition. Sometimes most of the time it's more so, but more of a factor than competitive spirit and all that. But sometimes it's like stuff that just kind of transcends just the money aspect and becomes a little more.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting because even though this is a very niche thing, I try to always kind of think about it on like a general level that the grander audience can kind of vibe or understand. I'm just trying to think. Do you guys think there's anything in life in which, like, for the average person, the title would be worth more or equal to money? I feel like most people just want the money.
Oh, I guess in a case where you've already gotten a lot of compensation before, you already have gotten paid a lot of money to do whatever you do competitively, and then there's this just one tournament that doesn't have any stakes. Does that factor into your question, or is it more so like, again, let's just assume this is some random
I'm just trying to think I'm just trying to think for any facets for life where there's like, I guess kind of even taking out competition, even though competition is baked into it. Like the first kind of example that comes to my mind is, again, these are just wonky examples, so they may be on bad examples anyway. But like, do y'all think that most people would want to be president, and if you weren't getting paid for it?
Oh, that government and politics might be the main thing, because it's not really about money, even though it is. It's about power, because you can make a lot more money doing other stuff.
Yeah.
Like probably a very low scale example is like these local town councils and stuff like that, where a lot of the members are volunteers and they don't get paid money, but they like having power and they like making decisions. So every week they'll go to these nightly meetings and discuss certain matters in the town. Again, that they're not getting paid to discuss, but they just like the power. They like it might, and I'm being cynical. It might just be
Yeah,
they want to be.
they like the power. It's power hungry.
Bro, I deal with a lot of these damn town members a lot.
Okay, you know what? Yeah, I'll give you that.
But again, there are some people that like genuinely just want to make things better and will be in a position of government or politics purely like just not even thinking about the money, just to make the world a better place. But it's not really competition, but that's probably the closest equivalency,
Yeah,
I guess.
and that's what I was thinking. Like, I guess it is kind of weird when you don't tie competition to it because I'm trying to think. The title that came to my mind and your mind is like, even if it's like government related, you still have power associated with it. Like,
Yeah.
say tomorrow, whoever wins this Smash tournament or whoever wins a tournament like this, they just wake up and they just woke up and they won it. Like, they don't remember it, so they have no money, and you don't even really recall the work you put in to get it. I wonder if
Watch
there's
the
any title
VODs.
that. Yeah, exactly. I wonder if there's any title that people would want where there's nothing that comes along with it except the person that achieved it must have worked hard for it.
There's stuff out there. Like if you were like the #1 grandmaster in chess or something, it's gotta mean like that's gotta mean a lot. Like if I feel like if you're at the
Get money for
top,
that.
if you're at the very
Yeah, you get money
top of
for it.
anything, like think about if LeBron and Jordan could have some one-on-one tournament right now to see who is the permanent GOAT, undisputed for all of NBA history. Like the money wouldn't matter, but in part that is because they already have millions and millions of dollars. So it's kind of a cheap way to avoid
Does Jordan
the
care about
question.
being known as the best?
To who?
Does Jordan care about being known as the best?
Oh, yes. Fuck yes. No matter
I don't know.
all top level competitors do care, no matter how much they say they don't or how much they pretend they don't. Every single one.
That
Like,
I
I
feel
feel
that
like-
might. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, like, if you take like the top 10 NBA players in the league and said you have a one-on-one tournament, winner is the best player in basketball, gets the equivalent of a championship, the money wouldn't even matter. It would just be their prestige, but that's because they've already made millions and millions of dollars, and at this point, it doesn't matter as much.
One, I don't know about that, and two, I definitely don't know about that for Jordan. There was a time and place, especially when you go back and watch like the Last Dance doc, where it feels like he did care about winning and being the best over everything else. But it doesn't. It seems like when all is said and done, that doesn't seem like it matters. Like I feel this is a world in which
I mean,
whoever
there's nothing
wins this tournament or a tournament, well, whoever wins a tournament like this, I guess they'll have a trophy that they can put on their wall for all time. But I don't know if they'll feel like once some time has passed, like it really meant anything. I think there might be. I think there might be some hollowness in like in a title like this, just the pure title. I think this now we're getting to like kind of speaking for people, which we never want to do. I think what means a lot for a person like Jordan is what you've been able to build because of that, money included.
I don't know if I agree with that, because if we look at Jordan, right? Like he was able to build. Let's not look at Jordan because he's kind of an aberration. We has Jordan.
I'm just trying to think because what is there any example of like somebody that's in that discussion of like they're the best, but you never see anything that denotes like them really caring about that.
Well, let's look at like Magic Johnson, for example. We're going deep with the NBA analogies, but Magic, like when he retired, he had the money from his playing days, yes, but when he got the money, he was gonna get it whether he won 5 championships or whether he won none, whether he won 4 MVPs, whether he won none. Like even whoever wins the championship this year, they're already going to get paid what they're going to get paid. There's no further incentives for them to really try because again, they already have their contracts. You could say that they want to try for their next contracts, but like LeBron is probably not going to get another big contract after the one he's on now. So it doesn't really matter. Whatever he wants, he's going to get. But at this point, it's about purely the competitive aspect of the game. Like you want to win the championship, you want to be the best, just to say that you are. Like I feel
While I might agree with, I think this is kind of like a case by case. I would probably make the bigger argument for somebody like LeBron care more about like the actual victory and being known as the best. But at the same time, when we actually like listen to some of these people, it kind of sounds like the sentiment currently, or like at the end of the day, is like I want my like family, or I want my sons to be to be able to play and achieve success in this realm. You don't really, and maybe it's just something that's not very human. Or I like, what's a person in a field? I guess we're talking about sports. What's a person in a competitor that's like, I am the best. I strive. I guess in rap this kind of comes up, but like I am the best, and I felt I've achieved this, and I like they kind of speak to that. You really don't hear past players or
I think
kind of
I think a lot of players think that way. They just don't say it out loud because people don't like to hear other people brag. But I have a sports example, even though I fucking hate to bring it up. Tom Brady is a player who has been on record.
I was thinking
now
about
he's
Tom,
retired, saying that he's the best and he has justification, and he's foregone money in his contracts to build better teams around him in order to be considered the best. Like, I feel like there's so many sports players that are wired like that, but you just don't hear them come out and say that verbatim because they have an image to uphold. Like all the top competitors, top players, I feel like it can't just be about money. And it's primarily it isn't about money. It's about just being the best for the sake of being the best. Like having that internal...
I don't know. I don't.
Plus,
when I was thinking about Tom, I would have to see some of those for myself. But I do tend to believe you that might be his mentality. He might be one of the people in that category that like they do care about being the best. But at the same time, I don't think you believe that most players would compete at these levels and strive if there wasn't a contract attached to it. Most
players know. When I'm talking about this, I'm talking about like the absolute like best players of all time, like era wise.
I think
like we're talking.
I think Tom Brady's is probably one of the best examples.
But there's like you can say that like about 10, 20, 30 players in every generation. You can say that about 10, 20, 30 players now in every big sports league.
And we're not a sports podcast or video game podcast. What's the current day NFL player that's like they very much broadcast that they feel like the best of all time?
I mean, you could say that about Patrick. You could say that about Mahomes, but again, players almost never say while they're playing.
Yeah, Mahomes be humble every interview he does. Knock it off.
Nah, bro. Like, the thing is, like, the humility, it's pretty much a front. Like, it's an act. I know we're getting to sports psychology here, but like when you're at that top competitive level, you'll say whatever you need to say in the meetings, to the media, to the press. But to be that top level, like, think about this. Every other player in the NFL, every other player in the NBA, every player in these top sport leagues, they've made it, so to speak. They're obviously not all getting paid the same, but they kind of don't have any more incentive to try, quote unquote, outside of the money. So why do you still have players that go above and beyond, that are better than everyone else beyond the pure talent? It's because of
to continue the financial incentive.
No, because you could say that about every other player in the league, but why are there players that are stand out and that are exceptions?
Yeah, you could, and I think the only thing we can go off it, obviously, again, I tend to agree. Like, it probably would be uncommon or maybe even like new to a person's the media's ear, people's ear, to hear a player speak brazenly about like the concept of wanting to be the best. But I think that would be like a big determining factor. Unless if you're just kind of speaking, if you never speak about it, you're super humble in all your meetings and all your interviews and everything, and there's nothing that showcases you have a super innate desire to be the best. Then why wouldn't we? How can you just not go based off the assumption that they're just doing it predominantly for the continuation of the financial incentive? Obviously, you can say that it's not the only incentive, not the only reason. Obviously, people enjoy their games or enjoy the fields that they're in, but there's just nothing that showcases that at all, to me.
All right, I have a question for you. If you could name a player, NBA player, Steph Curry, would you say that he was motivated by intention to be the best without knowing any interviews, or would you say he was motivated by money?
I think, to be clear, I'm talking about interviews, but also like they're kind of. I want to say on the court presence, but that's kind of getting like that's kind of against psychology. Steph, the fact that any of these things I have to like think about it, and again, I don't necessarily watch every single like Warriors interview, so I'm not even saying I'm the best person to judge it, but I think it would be well known if somebody was. I can say I can see. I'm not naive. I can see a world in which Steph cares about being the best at the level he was playing and the type of the way he plays. I can kind of see it. So
Yeah,
he's
the
also
reason,
an example of somebody who would say he cares about being the best, the title.
yeah, the reason I say that is because he's often looked at as like one of the most humble superstars in sports. But he's came out and said in interviews, which people did not think that he would have said this, but he said in an interview, like just straight up, he was asked, "Are you the best point guard of all time?" He said, "Yes, I am." And this,
And yeah,
that's
and I
something
think that's
that caught a lot
reflective
of
of
people.
somebody that would he cares about being the
Yeah,
best.
but my point's more so a lot of people wouldn't have thought that until he said it in the interview. In this interview, it was like literally last year. Like this is he's in his 16th NBA season, and before this, people really thought he was just super humble and all this. But I think it's just there's a lot more players that aren't going to actively come out and say to the media that they're striving to be the best. They're playing for just the love of the game, and the money does not matter to them. It's just they're not going to say it because of image, but when you're
Man,
at the very top
that's the
level
image
of
stuff.
sports, of stuff like of competitiveness in general, like it matters to just say, even if there's no monetary incentive attached to it, just to know say to yourself, like, I am the best, like I believe I am the best. I really think that it matters, even if there's no tangible out, like if all you have is a trophy, all you don't even have a trophy, all you just have is the knowledge, like, yes, I won this super big tournament over all of these other players. Like, that's, I feel like that's when you have that in you, that's enough. Like when you just have that internal
Man, yes,
drive.
when they just have it in them, so nobody knows except them.
I mean, it's not like the foreign concept. Like, you're telling me that you've never, like, obviously none of us have ever been at like top level competitors. When you were wrestling, like, you never wanted to be like, oh, I'm better than this person, even if you're not gonna get paid for it. Like, shit, when we're playing Smash, this is
I
again very low level. When we're playing
yeah,
Smash, bro,
these
I'm thinking
examples
like I am better than y'all. I'm going to show y'all that I'm gonna beat y'all. And there's
I
no money
definitely don't
attached
play.
to it. It's
I
just
definitely
like,
don't play Smash with y'all because I think I'm the best. I'm trying to have fun, but these examples don't necessarily work out because at high school, yeah, whatever. I am better than you, but that's neither here nor there. At a high school level, there's little to no financial incentive. So I wasn't thinking back in the day like I'm doing this because like financial incentive is not even in the equation. Is the problem, and that's why I think maybe it isn't. I think the average person they're moved by financial incentives. I think
yeah,
that's
the average
one of
person, yeah, the
one of the
majority of
more
people,
stories.
100%. I agree
Yes,
with you,
yes,
but
not just the average, the majority of people.
the majority. But I think if you're in the echelon of that tier, if you're going to this tournament just to show that you can be considered among the best, then it's beyond the money in some aspects, at least for some people.
For some people, probably like again,
Yeah,
obviously
again,
we're
like
talking
I'm
about.
not arguing with you. Like, yeah, majority of people, 100% money is tied to it, but there's some things that are just beyond money.
Yeah, yeah. Literally, and I am stamping it now. Like I can imagine Tom Brady. He probably I don't know. I couldn't pin a specific time in his career, but I can easily imagine they could say we don't really have any money to pay you, and he would still get out there and perform.
There's
And
a
I,
lot of players you could say that about at top level,
I don't
top
know.
level
I don't know
players.
about a lot.
I I think so, but
I don't even think Jordan, who was known as the best, would have played without money. I don't know about that. But obviously some of these things are just guesses. We're not a sport podcast or analysts to continue just fixate on these things. Yeah, the moral of the story is man,
I just
Japan
can't
is
believe that we
interesting.
got a Smash competitive Smash topic on the pod.
I was super interested to again. I just want to hear your guys' thoughts. I think you damn near. This is probably a conversation that's better suited for actual like pro players or people that are like in the spaces of pro players to kind of get a better idea on this. But yeah, I'll definitely come revisit this conversation one day. Otherwise, will. But I think, is there anything else regarding this topic? If there is nothing else, we can move on. And I believe that is it. Go back here. Pull that up. Fix this. Hopefully this little looks right. Okay. Good show. Before you close it out, as always, we like to come on here and talk about what we are looking forward to. You know, things that are coming up in the near future, long-term future. You know what they say about having something to look forward to. For myself, I thought I had two things. And I think I do have two things. I guess at the time recording, I'm definitely looking forward to the Passover coming up. But I don't know if there's something specific about that. I guess, you know, that's just a holiday in itself. And also, I don't know if anyone peeped, and I kind of want to mention this at the beginning of the podcast, but we talked about looking for stuff at the end. I don't know if any of y'all peeped, because it's kind of a lot of discussion, but recently they announced the Nintendo Switch 2, but I don't really care about that, because I'm not really a super big gamer like I used to be. But one of the things they announced at this, and I should have peeped it, because if you've been following Sakurai, aka the pretty much the lead developer at HAL Laboratory, he makes Smash, and he's been tweeting in Japanese, so you have to translate the tweets before the event. It was like, oh, I look forward to this event. Oh, make sure you guys tune in.
He's such a troll,
and the average person is thinking, okay, so the Switch 2 is coming out. Obviously, the next Smash is on the way. Even what the article we just talked about was alluding to, they didn't say anything about Smash, and I don't really care. Obviously I want to play Smash or the new Smash, but they didn't announce that. What they did announce is, and if you know anything about me, you have to really know something about me. They announced Kirby Air Ride 2. I believe coming this year. I forget if they put a date on it. So yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. I gotta get that Switch 2, which damn near will cost the price of a PS5 on launch for some reason. Because Kirby Air Ride, the original, is bar for bar one of like the top 5 games of my childhood. Not necessarily saying my favorite game of all time, but one of the top games of my childhood. Yeah. There's so much I could go into it, but obviously, if you know you know thing, because most people just know Kirby Air Ride you might know Kirby, you might know racing games, but it's so much that goes into it. Man, the nostalgia really hits me when I think of that game, so that's why I won't bore anybody with that. But yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. Sorry, I'll have to say that. Yeah.
Nice. I'm looking forward to watching this Smash tournament, Kaguribi 13. Be very hype. Lazarus anime 2 days. I'm so very hyped for it because we've got teasers, we have clips from it, and this is not gonna be another Uzumaki scenario. I'll call it right now. This is gonna be a modern classic. Like, this is gonna be one of the best animes of all time.
Never hype yourself up too much.
I fell for the trap before, but it's not possible for me to get disappointed this time. It's gonna be too good. I already know it. So yeah, I'm very hyped for Lazarus.
Well, if that fails, we already know we'll be in the group chat waiting for you. But even more so, I do thank you because you reminded me, and that's why I was thinking in my head like two things. I guess it's like two plus or minus. Speaking of animes, everyone knows I think Yu-Gi-Oh is one of the greatest franchises of all time, and they are putting out a new anime coming this month, but there's no date, so that's probably why I wasn't thinking about it. Which is we just know it's coming out this month. I'm hella looking forward to that. I might do a watch party with y'all. That's how hype I am about it. But yeah, sorry, that was the extra thing. Anything else I'm looking forward to coming up?
Yeah, I'll piggyback on the shows. The Devil May Cry show dropped this last week.
People
Watched the
kinda
first episode
roasting
of
it.
it.
People kind of roasting it. I don't know if it's just Twitter being Twitter, but
Oh, all I've seen is doing well, and I watched the first episode, and it was quite good. It was quite good. It had obviously had good action, but also the like the story and the villain in the show, like it's it's more than serviceable. It's like intriguing to me. I want to see where it goes, and this is for a franchise where I don't care about this story at all. Like I barely follow the story when I play the game. So yeah, definitely intriguing. Um yeah, the action's hype, so I'm hyped to keep going with it. And also like the thing about it too is you can tell like they put this out at the perfect time because like we're at that like 20-year um like 20 years from the Devil May Cry 1, Devil May Cry 3 being released, and they're taking advantage of that, like using new metal and having Evanescence do a song for it, and like
Oh yeah, I saw that.
yeah. So definitely riding on like the nostalgia wave, and it's working. It's really working. So I'm liking it a lot. It's like they made it for millennials specifically.
Nice, not wrong. Catering to your audience. Yeah, I don't really, y'all know me. I don't really typically follow things that are like ongoing currently, but I actually might tap into that, watch it along with you and everybody else. Maybe I have something to talk about, chop it up with you about. But yeah, good, nice show. No, I don't think there's anything get off our hearts, get off our chest, or anything to walk back. So, as always, thank you guys for coming on doing this podcast thing. It wasn't too long. And we appreciate and give thanks to any and all watchers, likers, supporters, listeners. Yeah, we're just super appreciative. And we hope that by watching our show that you might have gained a perspective, or you might learn something new. Like next time you go to a Omarion show, you better stand up. Or we just hope they find it entertaining. But if none of that happened for you, then all we have to say to you is be warmed, be filled. Thank you. And what's that? About 240? Good show.